Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the 5 warrior class characters in the game, so let's begin. At the number 1 spot we have Bone Crusher. This guy hasn't changed from my list and I don't think he will anytime soon. His signature, Pure Hate, at signature 25, bleeding opponents raise Bone Crusher's attack by 16% and power rate by 12.8. Opponents are reduced by the same amount, so you know whenever you stack or apply a bleed on the opponent, you know your attack is going to be increased, your power rate will be increased, and the opponents will be decreased, so it's a win-win for Bone Crusher. He has a 72.9% chance to inflict bleed when struck by a melee crit for 75.6% attack over 6 seconds. This makes him super annoying to fight against if you're using anyone except for the 3 counters that come to my mind, which is MV1, Grimlock, and recently Primal. If you're using anyone else besides those 3 characters, you basically have to pray to the RNG gods that you do not hit him with a crit and get a stack of bleed on you, because this guy, whenever he's like rank 4 or rank 5 as a 4-star, he does so much damage. It's pretty crazy. And I forgot to mention that the Mastery Deep Wounds, it helps out all of these warriors tremendously with the exception of Hot Rod. And for Bone Crusher, it allows his bleeds to last a lot longer, which in combination help his signature last longer. So overall, Bone Crusher benefits so much from his bleeds. Bleeding opponents have 25% less evade per stack of bleed, so characters like Sideswipe and Barricade, they'll evade less the more bleeds on them. Opponent special attacks will grant him a crit rate buff for 8 seconds on his heavies and his specials. His heavy attacks have a 70% chance to bleed for 5.6 seconds. Thing with Bone Crusher is you can constantly keep spamming your heavies, and because they last quite a bit, 5.6 seconds, you can keep spamming them and that'll increase your power rate, so you'll gain more power on your upcoming heavy attacks, and overall you just gain power really quickly. As soon as you apply heavy and then you go in for like a 5-hit combo, you basically have almost like your special one, and after that he just pretty much takes off. His special one has a 73% chance to bleed for 110% attack over 2 seconds. I used to spam this a lot, and it still works mainly like on characters that have kind of low health, but I would recommend mainly just using his special 2 and special 3. His special 2 has a 71% chance to bleed 3 times, dealing 58.3% attack over 7 seconds, and his special 3 has a 35% chance to bleed 4 times, dealing 160 attack over 14 seconds. So the special 3 lasts twice as long as the special 2, but the chance to bleed is decreased. Sometimes I get the special 3 to apply once if I'm lucky. The times it has applied 4 times, it does so much damage, and you just see the opponent's health bar tick away super quickly. And the 14 seconds helps out his signature, of course. But the special 2 has a higher chance to activate with only 3 bleeds. It doesn't do as much attack, but it does help to activate your signature. And overall, just Bone Crusher's kit revolves around his signature and his bleeds, and that makes him do so much damage. And just for that reason, I feel like he's going to remain the number 1 warrior class for quite a while. Up next, we have Drift. His signature is Deep Focus. At 15 hits, Drift gains a 59.1% increase to the duration of his new bleeds. So this guy works off of a combo meter. At 5 hits, he gains a 27% precision buff, which increases his crit chance and decreases the opponent's evade chance. And at 10 hits, he gains a 35% crit damage buff. So after 15 hits, he really starts doing some damage. His critical sword attacks have a 63% chance to bleed for 22% attack over 2 seconds. And he has a 10% chance to evade melees from bleeding opponents, and plus 5% per focus level. So there's 3 focus levels at 5 hits, 10 hits, and 15 hits. So in total, if you have over 15 hits on the opponent, Drift has a 25% chance to evade melees from his bleeding opponents. His special 1 has a 78% chance to bleed 2 times, dealing 33% attack over 3 seconds. His special 2 has a 100% chance to epic bleed, dealing 110% attack over 10 seconds. And finally, his special 3 has a 56% chance per hit to bleed for 22% attack over 2 seconds, and 100% chance to epic bleed for 110 attack over 10 seconds. So overall, Drift, he's pretty good in my opinion. I feel like any character that doesn't need to get hit in order for a bleed or like another passive to go off is really good. If you're a ninja, you don't get hit often, Drift is definitely your go-to guy. He synergizes extremely well with the sword masters, and that really increases his damage output. His sword attacks, even though his bleeds don't last too long, they do activate very often, which is really good. And in combination, of course, with what I talked about earlier, the deep wounds mastery, it really helps him do massive amounts of damage. You know, he can have like 5 bleeds going off on the opponent. They can just continuously tick to death, basically. So in my opinion, Drift, he's right behind Bone Crusher. Right behind Drift, we have the acrobatic Hot Rod. His signature acceleration at signature 10, special attacks increase Hot Rod's power flow on attacks by 72% for 7 seconds, and while active, he has 30% chance to evade range attacks. So every time he activates a special, his power flow will increase for 7 seconds, and during those 7 seconds, any other attacks that he inflicts on the opponent, he's going to power gain a lot. If you guys have fought a Hot Rod in alliance missions at higher signature levels, you know that if you, after you use a special, if you dodge it and you go in for like a 5-hit combo, you basically give him another special. So he just keeps filling up power bars at the higher signature levels. It's still really good at signature 10, and that added little bonus where he can evade range attacks comes in handy sometimes. His range attacks have a 60% chance to inflict deceleration for 3.2 seconds. What deceleration does is it prevents the opponent from evading attacks and also reduces their power flow by 27%. And while the opponent is decelerated, Hot Rod's melee attacks have a 100% chance to gain a crit rate buff for 2.8 seconds, 11% crit rate per buff, and his critical heavies have a 40% chance to stun for 1.2 seconds. His specials don't really do much, they just add deceleration. Special 1 is just a normal 2-hit combo, but it does trigger his signature acceleration. Special 2 is a 9-second deceleration, and his special 3 is a 29.6-second deceleration. I would highly suggest not using the special 3 just because it doesn't do too much damage. I highly suggest the way to use his combo is to hit the opponent with some range attacks, get him decelerated, and then try going in for a special 2 once you have like, because during that combo you're going to get like 5 crit rate buffs. And whenever you use your special 2 at the end of that, you're going to do so much damage. I think he can do like close to 3,000 to 4,000 damage. So he's actually really strong. And then the decelerated opponent, you're accelerated and you're power gaining like crazy and they're not. So Hot Rod overall, really fun. He's definitely an evade killer. So he's very useful against Sideswipe, against Barricade. And yeah, he's just overall a really solid character. Up next, we have Bludgeon. His signature Metallic Kato, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. At signature 15, whenever he misses a melee attack, he gains 103 critical damage buff for the next critical hit. I've said this before many times, signatures like these, passive abilities where you need to get hit in order to have something activate, I am highly opposed to those, so Bludgeon, this signature, not really my style, I guess. His sword attacks have a 25% chance to bleed on crits, dealing 87% attack for 5 seconds. He's one of the strongest characters in terms of his bleeds. They do 87% of his attack, which is super high. The chance is kind of low, 25% chance only. Other characters have like over 50% chance, but whenever it does activate for Bludgeon, he can do some pretty decent damage. Whenever he's attacked, he has a 47% chance to gain an armor buff, reducing damage by 31% for 6.2 seconds. His heavy attacks will renew the armor buff duration and have a 90% chance to stun for 1.5 seconds. All of his specials have a 60% chance to bleed on critical sword attacks, and his special 1 is a 4-hit combo, nothing else. His special 2 has a 32% chance to stun for 2 seconds, and his special 3 has a 65% chance to stun for 3.5 seconds. A high level Bludgeon with a high signature, if he does miss an attack, and if he does manage to land a crit on you, he can almost one-shot you like pretty often. I've encountered that sometimes in alliance missions on that first Bludgeon mini boss. He can sometimes be a pain, but if you're playing Bludgeon and you're not just gonna go in randomly, try hitting the opponent just to trigger your signature to miss, because that in turn has the opponent counter and hit you. So just for that reason, Bludgeon's overall kit, he's decent. His signature's kind of useless in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, he's okay. He's an okay character. Last but not least, we have our beloved Arcee. Honestly, I think we can probably switch her around between Bludgeon and Hot Rod. She's not bad. I think the majority of her damage and power comes from her crits and from her headshots, but we'll get to those in a little bit. Her signature, Guardian's Ferocity, at signature 20, her special attacks grant a 53.6% chance to gain a precision buff for 10 seconds, giving her plus 25% crit rate and preventing enemies from evading. She also has a 13.5% chance to evade ranged basic and specials. This allows her to get out of some sticky situations, especially against like an Ironhide special 2, which is super awesome whenever that triggers and she manages to evade and you're able to, take control after that. Her critical hits she gains 12% of a power bar on critical hits, which is absolutely insane. She can honestly power gain to like a special 3 really quickly. She also has a 25.9% chance to land a headshot on ranged critical hits, instantly dealing 60% attack and 60% attack as bleed over 3 seconds. And she also has plus 30% crit rate versus dashing opponents. So whenever she sidesteps a dashing opponent, she'll gain that 30% crit rate, which gives her just a bunch of power as you can counter into a 5-hit combo. But that middle part, the headshots, oh man, so many times, especially like in alliance missions, I've gone up against an Arcee with my ratchet, and honestly I take like 2 headshots and I'm already at like less than half health. She does so much damage at the higher ranks. I know probably like a rank 3 4-star Arcee, you're not really gonna notice the damage, but a rank 4 rank 5 can honestly just about wreck anybody. Her special one has plus 35% range damage and speed for 6.5 seconds. Her special 2 has a 100% chance to bleed on crits, dealing 69.3% attack for 4 seconds. And her special 3 has a 100% chance to land headshots on ranged attacks, instantly dealing 88% attack and 88% attack as bleed over 5.9 seconds. Oh man, so Arcee, honestly, she's really good in my opinion. If I had a 4-star Arcee, I would definitely take her up to probably rank 4 because I feel like she can do a ton of damage at that rank. So yeah guys, that's going to be it for this warrior class tier list. Let me know if you guys agree or if you guys would switch some characters around. And next week we're going to be doing Tech and Brawler, so stay tuned for that.